Let us go to visual diagnosis, inspection. The topic is tongue coating. The tongue coating is a natural consequence of transformation of the ingested food and liquids in the stomach. It is some of the dirty residue rising upwards along with the pure chi that has been separated from the impure dross. The tongue coating should be thin enough to enable the tongue itself to be seen through the coating. The tongue should look like a wheat field in the spring when the wheat has sprouted and is just beginning to push its way up through the soil. The soil can still be clearly seen, but the field has a green hue, and when you look closer, you can distinguish the individual wheat sprouts. Similarly, you should be able to see the body of the tongue through the coating, and the coating should look like small individual dots on the tongue. Here we can see a picture of the tongue with a normal coating. The coating will be thickest in the middle and at the rear. This is because these areas of the tongue correspond to the stomach and intestine, which are the organs that receive and transport the impure residue that is left behind after the transformation of the pure chi. This is reflected in these areas having a thicker and dirtier coating than the rest of the tongue. An alternative explanation for why the coating is naturally thicker on the rear of the tongue is that some of the impure residue from the transformation process rises from the stomach and ascends towards the mouth. This impure residue settles on the back of the tongue, as it is this part of the tongue that it hits first. This is likened to when steam rises upwards from a kettle and condenses on the bottom of a window pane, but the upper part of the glass is still transparent and dry. The coating on the tongue does not usually extend to or cover the sides or the tip. The tongue coating primarily reflects whether a condition is excess or deficient in nature, whether the condition is hot or cold, and the condition of the food organs. The coating is not necessarily directly associated with the tongue color and shape, and therefore can be viewed separately in certain situations. The tongue coating can be used to rapidly differentiate the 8 principles. So let us look at the tongue coating in relation to the 8 principles, its significance and observation. For interior and exterior, the distribution of the coating on the tongue will reflect whether the pathogenic chi is in the interior or the exterior. For hot or cold, when it is heat, there's yellow and dry coating. When it is cold, it's white and wet coating. For excess and deficiency, for excess, it's thick coating, and deficiency, for yin deficiency, very thin or peeled coating. Qi deficiency, it lacks root on the coating. For yin and yang, yin deficiency is very thin or peeled coating. Yin excess is thick, white, and moist coating. For yang deficiency, white and wet coating. For yang excess is thick, yellow, and dry coating. Let's look at these pictures of the tongue with a coating on the left, and on the right is the tongue with a thick coating. Observation of the tongue coating is particularly relevant in acute conditions. This is because the coating is the aspect of the tongue that is quickest to change. It can change by the hour. In an acute invasion of pathogenic qi, it is sometimes possible to observe changes in the coating in the front third of the tongue, especially the outer edge of this area. If pathogenic qi penetrates deeper into the body, the coating will change by becoming thicker in the central areas of the tongue and possibly also changing color and consistency. It is not only exogenous invasions that can produce rapid changes in the tongue coating. Food stagnation will also manifest with changes in the tongue coating relatively quickly. A general rule of thumb is the thicker the coating, the stronger the pathogenic qi. If an organ is yin deficient, the tongue may manifest with a lack of coating in the area of the tongue that corresponds to that organ. A healthy coating should have root, be evenly distributed, and be slightly moist. Having root means that the coating should appear to be growing out of the tongue and not just lying on top of the tongue. If we go back to the metaphor of what a wheat field is, the wheat should appear to be growing up through the soil and not lying uprooted on the top of the earth like mown grass. When a coating lacks root, it can be easily scraped off. This is because the stomach, spleen, and kidney are not functioning as they should, and a new healthy coating is not being formed to replenish the existing coating from below. The old coating eventually loses its connection to its root and starts to fall off. A rootless coating is always indicative of a deficient condition. There may be a rootless coating in the early morning upon waking. This is because the stomach and spleen are inactive at night and have therefore not created a new coating on the tongue whilst the person slept. The coating also gives an impression of the development of a pathological condition. The coating suddenly disappearing in a disease is a negative sign, even if the coating was excessively thick. Intuitively, a thick coating disappearing might seem to be a positive development, but it is only positive if the change is gradual and not sudden. If the change is sudden, it is probably due to yin or qi being damaged by the pathogenic qi. A coating that suddenly becomes thick is usually seen when dampness blocks the middle jiao. When exogenous pathogenic qi invades the body, the changes in the coating will usually only be seen in the front third of the tongue and the sides of this area. If the coating begins to thicken further towards the center of the tongue, and if the coating changes color from white to yellow and starts to dry out, this indicates that the pathogenic qi has started to penetrate the interior and begun to generate heat. This process can often be quite rapid. In interior pathological conditions, the distribution of the coating will indicate where the imbalance is in the body and which organs are most likely to be affected. The color and texture of the coating will give an indication of what type of imbalance is probable. One should therefore observe whether the coating is thicker or thinner in certain areas of the tongue and whether there is a difference in the condition of the coating in these areas. Thank you so much for your attention.